In this video, we're going to find out how good is this pocket-sized portable 40-year-old speaker from Sanyo, what advantages and disadvantages it has compared to modern devices, and we're going to deep dive into the company's history to understand why it went from world tech leader to zero in only 50 years. Let's jump into it. Whenever we look into buying a new technological device, most of the time we simply set our budget and then narrow down our search to last generation products. But is new technology always the answer? I was recently on a quest to find the perfect portable speaker that would fit right in my pocket, have a headphone jack to connect it to a Walkman or a smartphone, and could also play music passively, meaning without the need for it to be charged or powered. After a long and failed research, I realized that the majority of last-gen portable speakers were too focused on Bluetooth capabilities and connectivity, so I widened my search and looked for brands and models from the past. And that's how I remember Sanyo. During the 70s and 80s, the Japanese company was well known for the miniaturization of consumer electronics and had good quality products. Plus, the fact that they vanished from the audio market before the Bluetooth era made it a great option. After only a few minutes on eBay, and there it was. The Sanyo MSP5 compact cassette size speaker, a pocketable tiny system that's comprised of a 50mm woofer and two fold-out 36mm tweeters. It comes in silver and black colors and it has a beautiful minimalistic design. I found this unit in near mint condition for 45 euros including the shipping from Bulgaria. In the article were listed the same kind of features I was looking for in the first place, so I was very happy when it finally arrived home. The box is still in perfect shape and those colors really throw me back in time. I still remember commercials from Sanyo when I was young and always thought they were something really special. It was a surprise to find out that this cool looking model is also quite unique in its own way. For a start, its measurements of only 110mm by 70 by 35 makes it really easy to carry it around. You can fit it into any mid-sized pocket without a problem. Most modern speakers that are advertised as portable are actually quite large and require you to bring a backpack. Here on the top side, it has a 3.5mm jack, so you can connect it to a phone, Walkman or a laptop. No pairing problems or connectivity issues, just plug and play. One of my favorite features is the 3-option system to power it up. On the back, it has a double battery compartment, which fits 4 AA cells. That's number 1. Number 2 is here on top, a 6V DC port to hook it directly to a power outlet. And third is the possibility to passively drive it by plugging it directly to your audio source, without the need for it to be charged or connected to the wall. This will reproduce music out of the speaker, but the intensity will be dictated by the power supplied from your audio device. So if you play from your Walkman or a phone, it won't get that loud. Now if you want to get the best possible sound out of it, you really need to use its built-in amplifier. When you're using batteries or external power, you can turn on the amp drive with the button here on top. This boosts the audio signal and makes the speaker come alive. The sound quality with the amplifier on is actually impressive for its size. The lows are very crisp and clear, and the tweeters being separated from the woofer create the 3-dimensional source of music. As for the batteries, I use rechargeable nickel metal hydride AA cells from Eneloop, one of the best and most reliable brands in the market. These will power any device for many hours, you just need to get a battery charger that are actually quite cheap nowadays. The funny thing is that Eneloop was a trademark developed by Sanyo and introduced in 2005. It was actually the last product to wear the Sanyo label before the whole company was acquired by Panasonic. But why did a company that made such good products end up being absorbed by the largest Japanese consumer electronics corporation? The answer lies in their very foundation. After the Second World War, Japan was occupied for 6 years by the Supreme Commander for the Allied Powers to enforce the Potsdam Declaration. The statement called for the surrender of all armed forces, and among many other regulations, it promoted the dissolution of vertically integrated business conglomerates, also known as Zaibatsu. These family-owned companies held great influence over Japanese national and foreign policies, and controlled significant parts of the economy from 1860 until 1945. Their link to the military buildup of the Empire of Japan and their monopolistic nature made their termination and restructuration a priority policy of the Allied forces. One of the companies that was on the edge to be designated as Zaibatsu was Panasonic. In 1946, the government froze the company's assets and purged most of its senior industry officials, preventing them from holding office. The founder of Panasonic, Matsushita Konosuke, who came from a poor background, was indignant on seeing those efforts directed at his institution, which was the work of a single generation. One of the officials who got purged was Toshio Yue, his brother-in-law and all-time confidant. He had been the managing director of the company since the very beginning in 1917, when the team was comprised only by Konosuke, his wife Mumeno Yue, and himself. Matsushita had so much trust in Toshio that just 1 year after his ban from working at Panasonic, he decided to hand him over the manufacturing rights for an unused factory in the Hyogo prefecture, so he can start a new business. Dreaming of one day having a foothold on markets all around the world, Yue called his company Sanyo Electric Works, Sanyo meaning 3 oceans, referring to the Pacific, Atlantic and Indian Oceans. That's how it all started. They quickly began the production of bicycle generator lamps and succeeded in achieving a domestic market share of 60% shortly after. From then on, it was pretty much uphill for the company. As the Japanese economy began to grow even faster during the mid-1950s, consumers, long deprived of even simple amenities, expressed increasing demand for household appliances. Sanyo widened its product line in the early 1950s to include radios, tape recorders, television and fridges, which later began marketing under its own name. Its position couldn't have been better, facing the upcoming 3 decades of what's now called Japanese economic miracle. The company realized tremendous growth during the 60s and 70s, and sales grew from $71 million in 1972 to $855 million in 1978. During the 80s, Sanyo was a well-established international brand that made devices like this portable speaker, TVs, top-of-the-line Walkmans, and some of the best-selling video recorders. But in the same way the country's economy helped the company rise, the same way it took it down. In 1984, the US trade deficit soared to more than $100 billion for the first time. Democrats pushed legislation that would retaliate against countries running large trade surpluses with the US, with punitive tariffs. Japan was unfortunately the top target. Under a lot of pressure, Japan signed a joint agreement with the United States called the Plaza Accord, and was forced to cut interest rates to stimulate demand for imports. That induced a historic economic bubble, which collapsed in the early 1990s, sending Japan into a deflationary tailspin. The appreciation of the yen happened overnight. $1 bought about 240 yen just before the Plaza. 1 year after, it only bought 154. The country plunged into 2 decades of stagnation, prices started falling, and banks went bankrupt under the weight of bad loans. Sanyo, like most Japanese electronics firms, was hurt by the difficult economic operating environment at home, where consumer demand, particularly for audio-video equipment, went into a steep decline. Overseas, Japanese electronics companies felt the effects of a high yen, which made exports more expensive. Higher labor costs also contributed to rising export prices, and now they also had to compete against China, where workers were getting paid 1/30 of a salary in Japan. The company also made some bad decisions, like the adoption of Sony's Betamax VCR format over Matsushita's VHS, or backing Toshiba's HD DVD instead of Sony's Blu-ray disc. But the country's macroeconomic situation played the biggest role. Finally, after reporting net losses in multiple fiscal years during the 90s, Sanyo decided to do a major reorganization and arrange all of its operations into 5 newly created truly independent companies. That was in 1999. After that, Sanyo pretty much disappeared from the consumer appliance market and focused on clean energy and rechargeable battery technology. The 2004 Chuetsu earthquake was an unfortunate nail in the coffin for the company, where its semiconductor plant was severely damaged, creating a huge financial loss. Only 5 years after, Panasonic corrected something that maybe should have never happened, and at long last acquired more than 50% of Sanyo's stake, making it a wholly owned subsidiary. Sanyo might be gone forever, but its legacy products still bring us joy today. I hope you liked the video. That Sanyo brand surely had an interesting story. I also want to say that I'm very happy with the performance of the little speaker. Not that the weather is getting better, it always stays in my pocket whenever I go outside. Anyways, thanks for watching. Until next time.